to direct everyone, let them know where to go and what's happening. Without what sometimes has happened is you get a traffic jam with the barbecue tickets. And but it also kind of meant that the barbecue tickets and the fire department were kind of isolated in the parking lot to the rest of the event. So it might be worth looking to having them on the back lawn next year.
Where, again, we usually have it.
And it's really where they are anyways, in the back, outside that back door.
Yeah.
I don't know, when I was in 2019, there was parking lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we, as we mentioned, we did have good revenue from the silent auction. A lot of that was thanks to Gladys helping with follow-up calls. So we've got notes in that document for next year. Probably focusing on emailing businesses, as some businesses ask for this call. So the other kind of thing to note was the band was playing in the gazebo, but they found they got a weird echo on some notes. So they ended up moving them like right to the edge of the rail, which seemed to help. There was only 2 members in the band. I'm not sure if it worked well for larger bands, just to think about future planning.
They sounded good from where I was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not sure that it would have been something that was necessarily overly audible to non-musicians or like.
It kind of just the people in
The gazebo were hearing it.
Yeah. Yeah, and everybody else can hear it.
Yeah.
But it's hard when you're playing.
To know whether other people feel, yeah.
Well, it's sort of a low loop for what they're doing.
Yeah.
And yeah, they're probably shaped like this, so.
There is a bit, if you do sit under a talk, there's a bit of an echo.
Not really ideal for that, is
No, I mean, it looks like it might be, but then you got that cone shape just above them. So, and I'm
that's where
sure,
the sound goes.
what's that?
Is it, that's where the sound goes?
I think though,
Yeah.
underneath though, it's flat. Like,
But it's-
there's material that's between the roof.
Yeah. That's what it looks like. But if they were outside away from that roof, they probably would have been fine.
Yeah. So I only kind of bring it up because we're gonna have a band come in on Saturday. So do we want to try them in the gazebo, or should we just have them where we normally have them?
Next to
Beside
the,
the hardware store
Yeah.
and have the tent set up over top of them.
so where are you putting all the vendors, whatever, are they gonna be
Mostly
out back?
behind, maybe have
Yeah,
1 or 2 out front, but I think there's just room behind. It means like people can see from the Heritage Park. That's where the blacksmith is gonna be.
I think you need some in front, just for the traffic that's coming down the highway. They see it, they know that's
yeah,
where
they're
it
not
is.
gonna, yeah, they don't,
They're
there's
not
nothing
gonna-
out there, they're not
They're
gonna
not,
see it.
they're gonna drive right by.
The same.
Yeah.
Yeah, because unless they're specifically coming for that.
Yeah.
So sorry, before we move on to Fall Fest. The movie in the park went well, so the candy booth was set up around 7:45 and the movie started around 8:30. The recreation committee also brought cake and Kool-Aid, which was left over from their spaghetti dinner. These were given away for free and didn't really seem to impact the sales of the candy and drinks. And some people put money in our donation jar for them. So the cotton candy, the way we did it, so that it didn't matter whether the bags were all consistent, is we gave them away for donations. This is actually pretty popular. There were 2 full plastic totes made, and they were all gone by the end of the movie. So candy drink sales each $45. Donations for candy floss and other the cake and the Kool-Aid stuff for about $65. So the total revenue from the event was $210.
What was it cost?
$13 for the candy floss, and then the normal cost of like the candy and
The candy would be about 50% of the profit.
Yeah.
50% of it
about $4 for
Candy floss is just
is just cost.
all profit.
Yeah.
so luckily we ran into a few snags, however, with the candy floss machine. We originally plugged it into gazebo, which is the outlet, the most power available at the museum. But we had trouble getting the machine to keep running. We reset the outlet and that seemed to help temporarily. But when it was donated, I was also told that it had a slightly loose wire. Anyway, we couldn't get it to work consistently, so we took it over to the rink shack and plugged it in there, and it worked fine. Fortunately, I had a volunteer for the day, so 2 people were over there doing the candy floss and 2 people were at the museum.
So I thought we had enough power in that.
Well, we should.
Yeah.
Theoretically, it should be more than enough, but for whatever reason, it wasn't working. And instead of fiddling with it for hours on end, we just,
Should that not be checked, is that not just installed?
yes, it was just installed.
Yeah.
From what we said at our last meeting, it was the go-to plug-in with 20 amps.
Yeah.
So.
It worked
should
fine
be-
with bands.
It worked fine with the band, oh, okay. So maybe when you move the candy floss machine, it did something.
Yeah, that's a possibility. The loose wires.
I don't know.
Just drive around the block every time we want to use it.
It's like taking a baby for a ride. Put them to sleep.
A really big heavy baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, so in terms of, I don't know if the recreation committee wants to do this again. I actually had someone come into the museum and tell me how much they liked it. But it probably would, if the museum were to have a candy stall there again, I would say it would probably be worth having it set up ready at about 7, because there are a fair amount of people actually there early and playing on the playground and wanting to buy stuff. So yeah, so that was pretty good. So Fall Fest. So there are 9 confirmed vendors so far, including the museum. We will have our produce for sale, what has come out of the Heritage Garden. So I'm proposing that, again, like the candy floss, instead of pricing everything, we actually just let people take what they want and they give a donation in return. You can still have a float out there, so if they want change. But I'm not sure, for a lot of the things, we don't necessarily have like a humongous number of each thing to bunch together and sell at, you know, like the amount that you would normally get if you were, say, going to a normal farmer's market. And if you did, it would be like 1 bunch of carrots. So that way people can pick what they wanted for, say, 1 meal and then donate accordingly. Is everyone okay with that? What do you think, Brenda?
I'm just a little concerned, because I'm just wondering if people will undervalue it then. I know when you go to the farmer's market, they want a high price for most of that produce, fresh produce, so I don't know.
We're also not professional growers.
I
The
know.
kale looks good.
As long as it looks
Like if-
good and it's priced accordingly, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, what have you got? Give us some examples, like.
We've got a fair amount of
I guess
kale.
that's, it's blind.
We've got turnips. We've got carrots. Lettuces are bolted, so I mean, probably not.
Okay, so take carrots. How many carrots do you got?
I don't know until I pull them out.
Well, I mean, like.
How many stems? of carrots
How
do you
long a
have?
row? Yeah.
The way we did it is we did blocks, so each block has 2 different type of vegetable. And I haven't, like, so some of them are
If
like
it all
growing over
you
top of each other. I haven't sat down and counted them, and because of the way they're growing, I can't just ballpark it. I'm also not sure when I actually pull them out of the ground, how many of them are gonna be large enough to want to eat.
Yeah,
Oh, so you don't know, you haven't pulled the carrot to see how big.
I have pulled the carrot and I can see some of them that look pretty nice, but I'm not sure how many of them are going to look
and if
nice.
you've only got, like, if you don't have enough to make several bunches of carrots,
Yeah,
you're not gonna get any money for them. It's not like going to a farmer's market.
well, that's what I'm saying. So if we're
Yeah.
offering it for donation, it means that
You might get more with the donation because it's for the
Yeah,
museum at the end of it, if you don't have that much, I'm thinking.
Is there anybody else coming with products?
that we have how many stalls?
9,
9?
including us. Most of them are crafters. We haven't had any other food vendors actually confirmed.
Is that, do you know why? Is that because of the farmer's market?
I think it's partly because of the farmer's market. I think the original idea that had sparked this was Liz had mentioned how a lot of gardeners, home gardeners might have extra produce. Unfortunately, I think they'll have been, discouraged by the fact that the health unit is expecting anyone selling food items to submit a health unit application, which has to be in 15 days before an event. And I think a lot of home growers maybe don't know that they're going to have enough to want to put a stall or to commit to doing the stall. So I think that's probably one of the issues. And I happened to get a CSA and I did mention it to them. And it sounds like the concern was not just that the day conflicts, but if a vendor is already committed to, say, the North Bay Farmers Market, the Powassan Farmers Market, they don't necessarily have extra produce that they're going to want to sell at a one-off market.
No, North Bay Health Unit doesn't apply that to the local farms.
They do if you go to farmers markets or anything.
They do?
You can do things at the end of your driveway, but you leave your driveway, you gotta go to farmers markets, you got tons of paperwork.
They weren't concerned so much. This wasn't, I did ask whether the water sourcing was a concern like it was for Pie Fest, and it wasn't so much that. They just wanted, I think, a record of,
I mean,
Who's
it's a
selling?
5-minute paper to fill out. It's not like it's an onerous process to do anything.
but I think a lot
Yeah.
of people who would be
It's
home
the-
growers
Yeah.
weren't, they don't know that, right?
Discouraging volunteerism.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I
Well,
think
they did it in England and there's nothing anymore.
so. Most of the vendors that we've got are craft vendors, so hopefully we'll get crowd that are looking to do like early Christmas shopping and stuff like that. And Bob Bartlett is coming out. This has been advertised on the radio as well. I heard it. So hopefully we'll get people out who are interested in seeing that demo. For
He's a big
Heritage
draw.
Day.
He's a big
Yeah.
draw.
Oh, he's charismatic.
Yeah.
And he's good with people. He's good at his craft and he's good at answering the questions that everyone has.
And the Day Houston band, again, it's been advertised quite well on the radio, so.
I will say, people that don't normally know about recreation or museum anything have talked to me about it. Like there's actually people that know it exists.
Yay! We did something right. Where are they hearing about it?
I don't know,
It's okay.
but I know I have family that's vending that. I was just like, wow.
I think some of the vendors did share it on Facebook, so it did get spread more.
Well, anytime
That
I
way,
see
where
it,
they wouldn't normally have shared things about the
Yeah.
museum events, but because it was a vendors type thing. I don't know.
I have just a thought.
Yeah.
Just a thought. If this goes fairly well for next year, I know where I used to be on St. Joe's Island, big farming community, and every year, it was usually a week before this, but they would have a corn roast. So instead of having a barbecue like we do at all the other events, it's just an idea. Of
I think
having
having
just a big corn roast.
I
That's
know
what the
would
rest of
be
the region had when we were having our
Heritage Day.
Heritage Day.
Ah. Okay, sorry. I'm not trying to steal ideas.
I had to drive Dean Gates home because his wife was at volunteering at
Oh.
corn roast. And they had only one vehicle left.
I'll mention too that on our Fall Fest Day on this Saturday, the Recreation Committee is also having a trunk sale. So it'll be behind in the park.
Yeah.
I said if they don't have enough vendors, if they only have 2 or 3, they could actually.
I think
We
it's
do have
actually
a-
15.
Oh,
We do
that's
have a
great.
Food vendor for the trunk sale.
Oh, you do?
Or it's
Yeah.
better
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um,
Sarah's bringing the hot dog.
Hmm.
question. Yeah, so I think it sounds like there's, and I did have a number of other vendors who couldn't commit, but who did inquire. So if we wanted to avoid other farmers markets, Sunday might be a good day for next year. And then someone also suggested inviting food vendors like Wasi chefs that would also sort of help bring the crowd because they're well known. So anyway,
Well, for anybody that's there, I would suggest taking lots of pictures with it, at least where there's a lot of people together, so it looks like it was a great day. And we can advertise that, you know, saying, and we can put it on for next year's promotion. Because people want, if they're gonna bring a booth out, they want to know that there's lots of booths there, that they have a chance of actually selling stuff. So if people aren't coming, you know, it's a lot of work to set up a booth.
so I have a couple questions for other things about that day. So, Bob Bartlett, for doing his locksmith demo, he's not getting paid. Should we give him a free t-shirt or something?
We usually offer him something and he refuses, but by all means, yes. Not the new $20. Sorry. You know which ones I'm talking about.
Yes. I'm just having dates, I thought. If anyone wants to see what they look like.
Oh, you bought a man's one, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine, no, yeah. There they are. So I'll tell you now, since Julie brought them out, they cost us probably between $14 and $15. So I mean, we don't have to make a lot of money on it. It's great promotion for us with the nail closet. So I told Julie and I suggested $20. I don't know if everybody else agrees with that. I'm not going to spend much more than $20 on a t-shirt myself. They are good quality though. And if they sell well, we can order the larger amount and get them cheap for next year or the year after, because these are going to sell next year. The last ones of this style, so we sold out of them within a year, and we hadn't quite a bit, so they are popular. And that's the men's, the ladies, we ordered in charcoal, and they'll be a slimmer fit.
That's the one that Tom's getting.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna buy him one.
Okay, so
You noticed what I'm wearing tonight, eh?
Yes, I like it. I haven't seen that one in a long time.
No, no, it isn't.
we still have the hats though with that logo on them.
Hmm?
The ball caps.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think it's the same logo.
Yeah, these are actually the embroidery.
Hmm.
They're not stamped.
I can't find my gas. I had to wear Bonnie's at last.
Nope. Time for a new one, Stephen.
So because the on the hour tours didn't work for Heritage Day, what would you like to do for the Fall Fest? Should we go back to having volunteers stationed in the buildings? Or will we have staff take visitors on a full guided tour? Whenever they wish.
Are Jeffrey and the two students going to be there?
Yes.
So you could have one in the store and one giving tours. Is that going to be enough?
Well, I have enough volunteers that will cover the garden booth, and we've got some carnival games and stuff to talk about in a
I'm gonna be
second
here too.
during that. And then I've got a couple of extra volunteers. So Mary and Steve, I've just put in the buildings for now because I wasn't sure. So we have enough volunteers to have volunteers in the building. If we end up with too many people, the students can keep working on their inventory because it's not done. And that way they're in the store to help serve. And then they can pop out and do whatever needs doing, whether people need breaks or things like that. Or we can have the staff take the full tour.
I leave it up to you, however you think, whatever you have enough volunteers for.
Because it worked well at Heritage Day, just doing one thing.
We only have 50 people come through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Last year, I
yeah,
did the hardware store,
mhm,
and that worked out good.
yeah.
Yeah, but we didn't have a fall fest last year. This is a little bit different, so.
True.
Yeah, whatever you think would.
Well, it's up to you guys, because you guys are the people who would probably be in the buildings.
Oh, I don't care. It's fine. I'm fine with being hidden away in the building.
Hopefully it won't be hidden away, hopefully you'll have hordes of people come to visit you.
No, it's fine.
Okay,
Which building do you want there?
Well, you could have the
I should be
hardware.
back by 1.
Okay.
okay. No, actually, that's perfect.
I'll come there when I get back.
Sounds good.
Sadly, a lot of the antiques in the hardware store, I have a lot of that stuff at home and I use it regularly.
So you can tell people how to use it.
And he has a problem calling it antiques, eh?
I remember buying one of those.
Well, those haven't changed much in the last 100
No, that's
years.
true. That's
Um,
true.
Okay, perfect. So that will make everything simpler for me. Thank you. So one of the other things that the students and I kind of came up with last minute when we were worried we weren't going to have very many vendors was carnival games and races. This is also, I asked them to ask the people that they knew what would bring you to the museum, and carnival games and races is what we got. So we've got rings for ring toss. Our idea was to have one of our long tables set up with various candy prizes, the lower cost candy items, so $1 to $2, maybe a more costly item at the very back. Tickets would be $1. So tickets could be used for any one of the carnival games or entry to the races. So there'd be ring toss, and then we've got potato sacks. So we can do a potato sack race. We can do a 3-legged race. We can do a wheelbarrow race if people want. We can do tug of war. We'll probably choose 3 of those things, and then set them up at a certain hour and advertise that. So that would, doing it that way should sort of work out to being about the same amount of revenue we get from just selling the candy outright, but it'll get people more involved in the idea.
You need extra volunteers to add to those.
Andre and Janet from next door have kindly volunteered to do that. So I've got volunteers.
I just want to make sure you're covered for.
And then the race, one of the staff would be available for, it'll take like 10, 15 minutes out of the hour for like at 3 different points. So that should be fine. Because they'll just sell the tickets at the tickets booth. The rest of it won't be like trees. And then depending on how many people enter the race, it would sort of be, the prize would be sort of correspondent, probably something $5 to $7. And that's the sort of retail value, not the cost of the museum. Yeah, okay. Is everyone okay with that?
Mhm.
I did send out an email asking about the candy floss machine. So if we were to do the candy floss machine, I would need more volunteers, or I would have to get rid of the carnival games and do candy floss instead.
My suggestion would be, how much candy is left?
There's enough that I think we could have very full carnival games, still have a few pieces to sell in the store, but probably not have too much left over at the end. If we were to add candy floss, it might affect that a little bit.
I would do your best to get rid of all of the candy, including putting it on sale.
Yes.
Yeah.
You mentioned
It's
50%.
your last 50%, that's, we've got 110% markup, so that more than covers the cost. And we get rid of what we have left in there. What about drinks, cold drinks?
We've got a fair amount. We could also do a ring toss for those.
Lots of pop shop left?
Nope, none.
Oh, perfect, okay. And what about yogurt?
There's a fair amount left. Should we put that on sale?
Put the frozen yogurt on sale. We make good money off of that.
50% as well?
Yeah, and I would sell the pop. Is that what we have, that pop and water?
And
Yeah.
iced tea,
Yeah, okay, so I would put that also. What do we sell that for now?
$2.
$2, yeah, put it down to 50 cents, I would think. We have quite a markup on it. 50 cents for the cold drinks, I think is more than, yeah.
Be the focus.
Just to
instead
get
of-
rid of it.
Yeah, yeah. And water, I'm not concerned because we can always use it here, right, Chris? Yeah.
The other thing is, I do already have one prize, but the end of season draw, so one of the things we were doing with the activities was trying to encourage people to participate by, you know, entering them into an end of season draw if they filled in all their activity sheets. So the fire department has donated smoke detector and fire extinguisher. This would be the main prize. I was wondering to sort of fill that out, make it more attractive. Should we also add a mug and maybe a few kids? That's okay.
Motion.
So I did the multi-year financial comparison events as requested. Is that something that we're looking at now, or is that something that people want to refer to the next meeting?
You have all the, well, you have all the information with it, I'm sure. I would defer it to the next meeting. Does everybody agree?
Okay, so the Facebook page. So the new Facebook page that was created has been updated with relevant information. The old Facebook page will soon be deleted. So the new page has 108 followers already as of earlier today. The old page did have 740, so still a ways to go, but 108. Good chunk. So the museum webpage on the township site has extra text information about the museum, history of the township. There's also been photographs and exhibits, or photographs of exhibits and store posted on the website, as well as a link to the new Facebook page. So hopefully that will encourage newcomers as well. I did have a note here as I was looking into the website stuff, wondering whether we should post something on the website about the museum's rental facility, since that is my understanding why the gazebo was built. I have not had any inquiries while I've been here into the museum as a rental facility. I think if that is something that we wish to pursue, I think an outline of available services should be established and posted on the website so people have at least a general idea of what they can get. So like seasonal cutoff dates, conflict contact name, and what services, if any, or if desired, the museum
Yeah, that's
can
good.
offer.
Yeah.
So
We originally, well, we mentioned that it could be rented, but originally it was for the museum and for events on bands and stuff like that. If we did decide to do rental, we would work with some office staff and that would go on their fees with other buildings that we own and that is charged. But if we want to come out and promote it with ideas of what it could be used for, and then check the municipal website to see what the rental fees are, yeah, we could work on something like that. The other thing is Chris, or Chris may know this, it was on my head before I forget about it, but I see in some other municipalities, North Bay, Powassan, Calendar, they have an event page that describes the event and then interested or going. How do we do that?
I mean, Facebook does that. Facebook does that.
Well, can't we do that?
Our Facebook has the event posted.
Yeah, so does it say how many are interested, if you're interested or if you're going?
Yeah.
Oh, I haven't seen, I guess.
I'm not sure that
I have not seen that on the page.
it's on the township website, it's on the Facebook page.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll take another look. Has anybody else seen it?
Although they've been changed, they seem to be changing things on Facebook
Yeah.
again, so I don't know.
Because I haven't seen that in, any group that I'm part of will come up and you can put if you're interested, are you going? And then,
I clicked interested for the Heritage Day. So
really? Okay, I'm gonna go look at it again. If I missed it. Gives you an idea of how many are thinking about coming.
Also watch out because there's 2 different events. And one of them's held by the new Facebook page, one of them's held by the old Facebook
Okay,
page. So I
maybe
don't know.
that's, maybe I'm still on the old Facebook page.
It might be that it's because there's 2 different accounts. I don't know if that affects whether or not it shows up.
Are both accounts being used right now?
I do periodically check the old account. I posted several times that it will soon be deleted, so I haven't been posting new things on there.
So what is the new Facebook page called?
Or Nipissing Township Museum. There's a link on the Township Museum website
Okay,
to the new page. It's called the same thing, but the photograph is updated.
And the Township of Nipissing Facebook page usually shares all of the
Mhm.
Nipissing events to try and.
Yeah,
get people to-
I look at that, but I have not seen that.
It might just be because
Okay.
it's still fewer followers, and so it's not being
Okay,
kept in the feed as long as other things would have been. And that'll probably just come with more traffic.
I see it obsessively. I can't get away from Township museum stuff.
I'm sorry. Well, you're probably getting them
No,
from those
it's-
accounts.
It's not a problem. I mean, it's not a bad thing, but they're everywhere.
that's a good thing.
Okay, so the other thing that I just wanted to discuss, because it's gonna determine how I spend some of the rest of my time here this year. The Heritage Gardens, they've been met with approval when things are posted on Facebook. There are a couple of people who are really glad that it's there. As far as I can tell, don't get too much attention in person. As much as it saddens me to say this, I'm not sure that the museum has the time and the resources to spare to continue this project unless we start generating a lot of donations from selling products at the fall fair, which I don't think this year we will. Or if it becomes a major focus of school programs, but I think it's just gonna be a really difficult project to maintain the staff retention system. So, and I basically just want to know whether, as I'm closing up, I should plan for the Heritage Garden to be a thing next year, and spend time prepping things, or whether I should focus on other stuff. That's all.
How much time do you think it was taking together? I know that's. Would you spend 1 hour a week on it?
It depended. At certain points, it would be a little bit more than that. And certainly, I think if we were to use it for programming, I did put a post on Facebook sort of asking what people were interested in. And I had one response, someone was interested in when we had it to canning. So if we were to use it for programs like that, we would have to be able to grow the right materials in the right quantities at the right time. And although, pardon? Well, it'd be something that we could do here, but if we're trying to tie it into the Heritage Garden at the museum, I think things, unless we're doing it later into the fall after the museum is closed, we would probably need someone to be in early and start seeds early, so things are ripening, like all our tomatoes are green. We've got 2 cucumbers. This squash, unfortunately, for whatever reason, we've about 1. A few of our plants did accidentally get damaged at one point, and that did set them back, but I don't think it would have made a huge difference. I think because things got started late, because it wasn't the first priority, it wouldn't, as it is, do enough to justify itself. I think it would take a lot more hours is the concern in order to make it work for
It's
programming.
not very big.
Yeah, I know, I agree. I agree.
It takes about 20 minutes to fill it up in the spring.
Yeah, and I mean, I've seen it, and I mean, it's fun, but bananas.
It,
But
it's,
I do understand what you're saying, I just wonder how much time is being spent. And if it's,
I think
you
it,
know, if you don't find it's worthwhile and you don't think it's doing the job you thought it would.
I think it would just take a lot of extra time, and it was, again, it's something that as much as I'm really interested in it, I'm very much learning. And I've not been the one who's been able to devote time to it either. And I've been lucky that one of the students was interested in it. I'm not sure what we'd have done if he didn't.
Yeah, no, I get it, and it's
Yeah.
always good to try something new, if it doesn't work, just learn, it's fine, you move forward.
Yeah.
I agree. So that's, anyway, so it's up to you guys whether you'd like that continued or not. I just want to know so I know whether I need to prep anything.
Well,
Like realistically, no matter how early you start it, you're looking mid-August before there's anything to really program or show, right? So like you're already into the last 2 or 3 weeks of our calendar anyway,
Yeah,
before we're shutting down, right? Like,
By the time, yeah, like say, by the time you have anything to show, your
and you're already on the
season is
window.
done.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, we did have a school tour in the spring and that went really well. And I think it would be something that the schools, if we could get going and maintain, it might be something that they are interested in. And that might make it worthwhile because it would be a much larger audience and it would be, like, and it is tied into the history and being outdoors. There's more space for like having the classes and stuff like that. So I think if that relationship were able to be fostered, that would change the value of the Heritage Garden. But again, I think it's going to be difficult to maintain that if the staff are changing seasonally unless a volunteer takes it on or something like that.
I'm of the opinion we need to slash as much as we can and get to the catalog. Like, we don't know what we have, like, you're talking like 60% of your time is on events that generated $3,000. Like, I just think we're not devoting our attention to the museum, which is what we're there for. If we're trying to be a money-making venture, if we're trying to generate new programming, we need to focus on the programming that we've already committed to that we're not getting to.
yeah, programming that works. I agree. I would say let the garden go. Doesn't sound like you have enough time.
Then it might be something that in future years, once
We could
other issues
actually-
are taken care of, we can come back to.
I mean, we could ask if anybody's interested that would want to put a little heritage garden back there, you know?
That was the other thing that I was wondering. And as I said, one of the students this year was interested in gardening. So it might be something where you could work out a contract where someone is allowed to use that area to grow things and they give a percentage of the harvest museum for program, and otherwise they're just maintaining the display and they can
Yeah, you can
harvest.
find somebody that's interested in that. I don't see anything wrong with that.
Okay,
But take your time away from the museum, and there just aren't enough hours in the day.
As I said, I mean, part of the problem is also that some things don't let go because we weren't devoting hours, so all the letters folded and stuff like that.
Now, what about the flowers around the gazebo? It seems like you didn't have a lot of time to get the weeding done in there either.
The students spend so much time reading. It was just constant, to be honest. For a while, they would start at one end, by the time they got to the other, and they'd start.
Yeah.
Part of that is just that a lot of the soil was still there. Things that are the perennials that were put in will hopefully grow bigger. There's also some fall sown seeds that I will be putting in. Jeffrey has done a guide to where everything is, I'll be putting in where I put the seeds. So whoever ends up doing it in the spring, they'll maybe have to look up online, Google what the saplings or the seedlings look like. But hopefully they should at least have a general idea of what to pull, what not to pull. The perennials are gonna be larger, of course, and more
That was
disposable.
the first year that we tilled that up anyway,
Yes.
right? So the weeds are gonna be, for a
So-
couple of years. weeds
No,
are
they're,
gonna
yeah,
be
they're pretty big
harsh.
there. I wouldn't be able to tell what's what.
So
We don't
are,
need enough flower.
are there perennials in it?
There's a number of perennials that have been donated. There were a few that were purchased. And then the seeds that I will be sowing, I believe are all perennials, or they're self-seeding annuals. They're mostly perennials, so. There are 5 different varieties. They're all native ones. So, yeah, so, yeah. I mean, again, that's just something that first, as it's getting established, will take a little bit more time than it will in the future.
Well, let's see how that works out in the spring. It looks like.
All I.
I do see that we have, on item 4, July 2023, event Pie Fest or Strawberry Fest. I'd like to defer that. Give us a little more time to think about it. And under new business, is there any questions, any more questions for Jillian?
We did have an agenda. I haven't looked at others.
Okay, I wasn't sure what meant that.
Um,
Yeah,
my number is forward. But it was from the band.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry, I missed that, yes.
Did those get done or no?
Well, no,
It was just, this is business horizon, right? So I just have to
Yeah.
so I
go
think
through,
this,
and this was business that was horizon.
When
That's
we-
all.
okay, so when we last had a meeting, we were still unsure what was happening. The original plan was, when I originally talked with Jeff Fournier in the spring, that we were gonna work on a banner that would get put up at the museum for Heritage Day. He'd be there to talk about it and share some extra photos. Instead, he ended up doing a PowerPoint presentation in the church. So no banner got made for that. However, on a completely, well, not completely, a slightly unrelated note, the banner that was printed last year, the exhibit text that I had done for Heritage Day about pioneer lifestyle in Nipissing, has disintegrated because it was not printed on an outdoor banner. It was just a cheap indoor banner. So I don't know if that's something that we want to get reprinted properly. If the Heritage Garden isn't going to be in next year, then it could just be a small indoor banner. It could go in the church, or we could just forget about it entirely.
That answer your question, Brenda?
Yeah, it was just a missing agenda. I
Yes,
realized I had
yes,
discussed
okay.
this.
All right. Any other questions on
I don't think we need to go all
No,
through.
that? No, I don't
at
believe
all.
we do either.
Yeah.
Okay, so under new business, we have closing dates. Are you open this week?
Don't know. I opened today.
You open today? Okay. Well, I certainly think you should be open until Sunday at least.
Yeah. Until some, you want us to stay open on Sunday?
Yes.
I won't have. I was hoping I could get the students to help me close down on Sunday,
Oh, yeah, if that works.
just
Okay.
because they're gonna be there.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. So closing, last day would be Saturday.
Okay. Wouldn't hurt either. My idea would be, I mean, tomorrow's Thursday already, but if you wanted to put your closing date up there and perhaps mention the sale on candy and cold drinks. It can start right away.
Okay.
I'm assuming everybody would agree with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so the next thing would be staffing. What is that about?
Or,
I don't know why it's there.
I have no idea.
All right, well, we will take that off the agenda. Okay. Now we have our next meeting slated for October the 5th. And then we can look at any candy or anything that's left over at that point and where it will be donated. Okay. Do we have a mover and seconder to adjourn? Steve and Chris, okay?
October the 5th.
Yeah, October the 5th. Thank you, everybody, for coming out.
Are we off, Chris?
Are we up, Chris?
Okay, so what's an orange watch?
Do you know what the Masonic Lodge
There you
is? Okay, just